And it turns out that I am not the expert on getting older quite yet, although I did turn 40 this last week. And so for our wisdom sharing time this morning, I have invited Julie Ferguson Schutz, who has worked for a long time in hospice and with families navigating aging and changing needs, to have a conversation with Lee Daniels, who just turned 80. So he has twice as much knowledge of getting older as I have. So I want to invite Lee and Julie to come forward, and if one of our ushers could bring our handheld mics, please. And I did pour you lemonade. I thought you might need some lemonade for your conversation here.
Looking sharp, Lee, looking sharp.
Give me a microphone, please. Your wish. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Cheers.
Oh.
First things first, Lee. All right.
Oh,
there we go. All right, no lemonade. Hi, everybody. We're gonna we're gonna rock, aren't we? Well,
You know, if I may interrupt you.
sure. Go right ahead.
I am thankful you took that rocker and I got this one because it brings back a memory. I can see my grandfather sitting here in this particular rocker, rocking after dinner, but there was always an ashtray here. Remember that?
Yes.
I can feel it.
Yeah. Oh, he's right here. That's why. You do hospice long enough, you realize that they're still here. They're all still here. They're hanging out with us. They're in your heart, and they're truly hanging out, you know? So that's what I have to say about that. He's right here. Yeah, that gives you some peace,
Now I'm
doesn't it?
toast.
Yeah.
I'm just toast.
Almost anything I'm going to say is going to probably make you toast.
Well, start me off.
Okay, so I think one important thing about aging in our community is that we're expected to be on point all the time. Our culture really loves the fact that we can all work really hard and stay productive forever and ever. And somehow we've lost this gratitude for just being, just who we are for each other. In this congregation, we do that beautifully. But I think that's probably the biggest gift that I have received from the congregation, is that I'm allowed to just be. I don't have to be on point today. I can be late. I can cry all the way through service, and somebody's going to come hug me afterwards. And y'all are going to pray for me. And when I get old and gray, oh wait, I'm already gray. I have this community to come and just lay it in front of you, and you'll hold it for me. And I think that's really what our elderly do, is that they sit with us when we're children and hold our pain, our joy, our tears, and it's just a very, very special gift. So I wanted to say that and say thank you for that. And I hope that we can, as a community, nurture that in one another, just knowing that that's a gift that we bring to just be here for each other. And especially as we age, because sometimes it's hard to see, gosh, you're not doing anything. Aren't you making any money? And that's just not it anymore. That's really not why we're here. At least that's what I believe. We're here for each other. You need to be able to see into your heart and see someone with your hurt. And that's what happens here. It happens all the time to me. How about you, Lee?
I think I have like 3 or 4 things I want to share with you this morning. Can you hold the microphone? Thank you. I have 3 or 4 things I want to share with you this morning. The first is, it's funny how life's little problems just gather and accumulate, and you struggle with them. And this year for Linda and I, we've had a few struggles. You are lucky I am here this morning.
Thank you.
Since we talked a couple days ago, I managed to pull my lower back muscles.
Oh, no.
So I wasn't certain I was going to make it this morning, but lo and behold, here I am. This church family does a couple things, several things that I just absolutely love. I'm going to share a couple with you this morning. First is the invitation that our pastor extends to us every service to worship. When she says that, I find myself leaning forward just a little bit. It draws me in. I've been in other congregations and I've not felt that. That's a huge, huge thing for us to do, but it comes with a commitment on our part and an obligation for those that come through the door. The other thing that I truly enjoy is when we share our joys and concerns. For myself, I find when I share something, my burden is less.
Me too, Lee.
It's a little easier. So if you have your health, pray and say thank you. If you have some health issue but can get your medicine, pray and say thank you. If you have a health issue, lean on your church family. We are here for you. I have one request, and I think there's an area where our congregation can do just a little bit better than what we've done. And I'm going to lean on an old slogan that went, "Be aware of your surroundings at all times." Today, what I'm going to say to you is be aware of the people around you and what needs they may have. Not always obvious, not always spoken. It's okay to ask a question.
Thank you. That brings me to my second little thought, too. You know, when you do notice that something's not quite right with someone, you know, you see me come in and a basket of tears. It's okay to say, I'm here for you. You don't need to ask and, you know, pry. That's fine too. But I think most people, they just want to know they're loved. And when we have disabilities as we age, things are going to change for every one of us, you know. And as you see them happening, I think in our culture, we've been asked to ignore, pretend like we don't see it, be, you know, gracious, be kind, be, you know, don't say anything, but we really do need to notice. And just like Charlie said, her friend fell off of her bike and she noticed it. That was her first reaction, was noticing it. There are lots of things that we need to improve. Our hearing devices, for instance, I know need to be improved. And our church is old. We're bigger people and we're aging well into our 90s. And that just didn't happen in the people that came before us. So we have to adapt. We have to say, this is normal. We're all going to go through this. Let's just hold it together for each other and be aware and say, okay, so how can I help? What can I do? And I would love to know, Lee, if you have any further thoughts on that, but I'd also love to hear from other people who have ideas about how we can be adaptive, inclusive, and honoring, because aging, from what I've learned, is all about maintaining your dignity and respect.
You know, I wish somebody would write a book or hold a course on how to deal with age around here. Anybody got a question, thought you want to share?
Get a checklist when we turn
She said, I think we should get a checklist. I think we should get a checklist when we get 62. Get to be 62. I'm there, I'm 62. I need my checklist, please. John?
I just can't believe this, I came to church this morning and you guys hit with the elderly. And I got my brother-in-law is in hospice care. He's got Parkinson's, so, my sister talks to me for the last 2 weeks every day, and it's touch and go. And he had a stroke yesterday, and this here really hit base with me. It's just unbelievable, And as the church knows, most of my followers here, parishioners, it's just been a nightmare for me for the last 20 years, It's just, so, one good thing, I got my grandsons are with us for 2 to 3 weeks. That's a good thing.
Hey!
Anyway, I just can't believe how this touched base with me. It's unbelievable. Honey, wait, did you have something to do?
No, I just want you to, that's the Holy Spirit, John.
Okay.
If you could capture a little bit of that so our folks on Zoom can hear just a
Oh,
piece
sure.
of what that was.
John just stood up and said that is it your brother-in-law?
Yes.
Brother-in-law has been in hospice now for several weeks, and that it's been very difficult. He's been on the phone with his sister daily, and that it's been touch and go, and that you just really resonated with what's going on here in church today, and maybe needed a little love.
Yeah, he's 5 years older than me.
Okay, he's 5 years older than
And
you.
he's a Vietnam vet, and he
Okay.
received many honors.
Oh.
While he was there.
And he's a Vietnam vet and has received many honors while he was in service. Wow.
It's just touch and go every
Yeah.
day.
Yeah. Hospice is rough, but it is also beautiful in so many ways. And if we're all lucky enough to have hospice caregivers, it's a blessing.
And blessing and thanks to those folks that provide hospice.
Yeah. Yeah. Diane?
Let's say I think of aging, it can become isolating,
Yeah.
and I think as a congregation,
Yeah, Diane is saying that it can be isolating, aging. Yes, very true. Yes, Diane, I hear you.
there was something more I wanted to say. I went to visit Lee and Linda, last week or something? The day before you turned 80, I guess.
Can we just drop that? That's it. It's just immaterial. Doesn't make a bit of difference.
No, I remember I was driving in the neighborhood, I thought, I'm gonna call Lee and see what they're doing, just for the moment. I said, if you don't want me to come, I won't. I don't want to barge in. It's like, oh, come on over, come on over. And I went over, and because I know a lot of times as people get older, they can't get out and do as much. But I've got to say, that did so much to help me too, by seeing you guys. So not only was it that I felt like I was doing something to honor you and help you, it ended up really helping me as well. So thank you.
We enjoyed that time. Thank you for coming.
Barge into my house anytime.
Do you want to summarize what she said for Zoom?
We all had a great time, let me tell you. It meant a lot to all of us.
Rhonda?
One thing that I have noticed with neighbors and friends is this aging thing and this piece of not being able to maybe do what you had done before. It doesn't come on all of a sudden necessarily. Sometimes it does. But most of the time it's a pretty gradual shift from being able to do a lot of things, and that sometimes we see people and have gotten so used to them being able to do that we may not think about offering now, because things are changing and so it needs to be kind of an ongoing piece, because there are times when somebody's doing just fine and thank you very much and can just do everything that they want to do independently, but that shifts, and that's when those continued offers of help, I think, are
Right, thank you. That's, I will summarize what Rhonda said for Zoom, if I can here. Rhonda's saying that changes don't come overnight, they come very gradually, and that sometimes we don't notice because things are subtle. Changes are subtle, and they do take a lot of time sometimes to develop. For instance, memory issues. Probably wouldn't even notice that. My mother was fantastic at figuring out how to say the right thing, even though she was well into Alzheimer's. But she would say the right thing all the time. And it was fascinating until you got to that one thing that just wasn't right.
One of the things my brothers and I found was that we three needed to have a conversation that blends the information we have about our parents to get the complete story.
Right.
You know, and sometimes the trigger words, you ask, how are you? I'm fine. Those are trigger words. There's
Right.
more to the story there.
Yeah, there's an old saying in the counseling world that what you really hear is when someone grabs the doorknob to go out of the room and they say something, that's what is really going on. It's called a doorknob statement. So listen for those. Well, I could really use help in the yard, but you know, and out you go. So, Craig?
Just to kind of build on what Ron said, and I love this theme of noticing. As change is happening, people around us, and things become more difficult to do, a lot of times because of pride, fear to ask for help, things are getting harder for them, but they'll never tell you that. They'll keep trying to do it, so notice. Notice what's going on with the people around you.
Right, yeah, pride definitely gets in the way of a lot of folks who end up falling at home and end up in the hospital and then in rehab and back in the hospital and back in rehab and then on hospice.
Pride and fear to say anything.
We are, the fear of saying anything, yes. Eileen?
I know I'm always talking about gifts and gifts, and I really am not trying to get on my soapbox, but one of the things that's so very important to us is that we have people that are elderly, or people that their family has moved away, and they are isolated, and they don't have other people in their lives. So whether it's our volunteers, the people that are around, and now they've got a community. We sit and we chit chat with one another, and we share, and customers that come in that are lonely now suddenly have, because it really is important. It's so easy to just shut yourself off and become isolated and not go out into the world. So there's lots of ways that we can help people.
Yes, that's incredibly important. Loneliness is the single most debilitating factor for the elderly. Loneliness. And that's sad. I don't think it used to be that way when we all lived a little bit closer together and had larger families around us. But now we've got a crisis going on, and I think Thrifts and Gifts is helping with that. That's fantastic. They're coming in, is what Eileen is saying. Very good.
Before we close here, any thoughts, comments from that side of the sanctuary? Linda?
Yeah.
Yeah, one of my most, all my precious memories of life is from with my grandparents. Precious memories, there's a song, Precious Memories. And, you know, all my humming and my whistling and my singing to God, you know, and, you know, just doing, going down the street, you know, passing time, comes from that era in my life. And you know, if any elders has any stories, you know, I'm a good listener, I like to sit and listen. And that's one of my most precious memories is rocking back and forth from County Gap, Arkansas with my grandfather. God rest his soul, mom's dad. And you play the guitar and the harmonica, you know, and sing old Southern hymns. And it's one of my most favorite memories and precious value memories right there.
That's terrific.
If there's anybody who has any songs or stories, you know, I'm a good listener.
Is it Robert? Is that your name? Robert is sharing on Zoom that his most precious memories are from his grandparents and singing old Southern hymns together, and still resonating with him.
Were they in a rocking chair too?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, see?
That's
Gonna
great.
build a rocking chair.
Oh,
Good.
was there someone else over here?
Anybody over here?
Elizabeth?
I think one of the things that may be hard, we have a number of young people here, and it's real easy to become, for lack of a better word, bored with this whole conversation because all these old timers are in the rocking chair. But I think one of the things that's so both important for us old timers is, first of all, you all are here, and secondly, that you bring life to us. We're grateful for you, your stories, you helping us with technology and all the things that we just don't know. Remember, however, that we taught you how to go to the bathroom. So this is a congregation that welcomes your abilities, the comments that you'll say during the time for young people, the energy that you have. This kind of stuff may make you totally bored, but you are really important to us. And never forget that you are valued and welcome here. Please go there. Like take a nap now. And then, come back.
Thank you, Elizabeth. For the Zoom folks, Elizabeth was sharing that it is imperative that we have our younger folks and our children with us because they do provide us with so much life. And to always keep that in mind, that we need each other. We need each other. It's getting late, people. We're going to wrap it up.
Any closing comments?
No.
Yes.
Yes, John.
John?
I always remember this, what Grace Aston told me years ago. Key to getting old and still walking on this earth, stay active, stay active.
There you go. It's
Thank
true.
you, Grace.
Yeah. Stay active and aware. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'm going to invite you two to stay right where you are. We're moving into our prayer time, which we